Hey guys, what I got for you today is a quick video on how I go about making stencils for painting small items such as this wheel for a plastic model kit. It's going to be real simple. We'll use Tinkercad and the Ender 3 Pro. First thing I'm going to do is measure the inner wheel assembly of this wheel and tire. And it comes in at about just a shade under half an inch. So 0.49. So what we'll do is we'll start off with a half inch, and then we'll work down to a 0.49 and a 0.48. Now that's going to be our hole in the center. The measurement from one side to the other of the hole. The other thing is I've made this one before and my measurements come out the same. This one does come in at 11, but sometimes you get a little bit of squeeze out and your actual measurement might be off from when you print, so you have to kind of mess around with this on your own. But I'm going to make the card a little bit longer so I have a little bit more reach, and it might seem a little bit daunting, but in all honesty, what we have here is a rectangle and a circle. This is the easiest way I've come to make these. And then we've got this vertical axis that we have to worry about. So let's fire up the computer. Let me see if I can get the screen capture program working, and we'll get to Tinkercad. Alright guys, so my screen capture audio didn't work very well. I'm just going to narrate the video as we see it here. One thing to note with Tinkercad or any program like this is the more experience you get with it, the better off you're going to be. I'm submarginal at best at this. So let's first start off by getting our basic shape down, which is our rectangle. We grab the square item over there, and you can see we have two options. We've got these lines, and then we've got a hole option here. Basically, if you see a solid object, that's what it's going to print out, a solid object. If you have the slashed lines or the hole option, that's going to be a hole. Clicking on your object, you can change all the axes or axes around, and like I said, you're just going to have to play around with it to get the hang of it. So grabbing those squares, you can manipulate that object in any shape or fashion you want. So we go ahead here and stretch this out. The other thing you can see is the digital readouts along the sides there. And here in a second, whenever we start messing around with the hole in the center, we will start editing that. So here I'm just messing around and trying to get the final shape that I want to go with, bouncing it off of what I printed out earlier. So here you see the option of the solid or the hole. You can see how it comes up. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the hole in the center. So we'll click the lined out item over there of the circle or the cylinder, whichever you want to call it. And we'll place it right in the center there. So adjusting it, we're grabbing the little squares. You can see it counting down as the more concentrated we go with it. We got a little bit of an oval shape there, so we'll just go in there, recenter it, and then manipulate that size by either dragging it, and then I'm going to click in the little box and actually edit it. There is an option in Tinkercad where you can set it between inches and millimeters. Sometimes I just go back and forth. I understand inches better, but millimeters is more precise without having to look into decimal points. So looking at our cylinder, it doesn't protrude all the way down through the bottom. We have a solid object, so it's just sitting on the surface of the rectangle. So what I'm going to do here is drag it down into the actual shape. So this is going to protrude through our baseline, the base of it, and we'll be able to see all the way through so we can see our shape. Now you can see it protrudes all the way down through the base, and that's how we know we have a hole all the way through. This same principle can be applied to the text. We'll just click on the text option here, drag it over, enter in our measurement of a half an inch. and then size that down to fit. So if we were to leave it like this, the 1/2 inch text, it would be vertical. So the simple thing we're going to do is just click on the hide button, or sorry, the hole button, and it's sitting on the surface of the triangle, or rectangle, I should say. And we're going to click on the triangle and drag it down. We don't want this protruding all the way through, so we just pull it down a little bit into the object, and we can see how far it goes down into the actual surface. So that's our basic item. What we'll end up doing here is making multiple of them, and we'll group it all together, and I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. So another function that Tinkercad has on it is this grouping item. And what you'll see is you can just drag over the entire item and click this little square and circle here to the right of where I'm at. And what that's going to do is group that item together. So all the items that you've just highlighted, that's one whole unit, and it'll take out whatever is registered as a whole. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go group this 1/2 inch hole as well, and then I'm going to go through the whole process of doing it from scratch again. So taking a square, taking a cylinder, taking the text, and then right after that what I'll do is I'll group that item together, and then I'll duplicate it, and you can see how much easier it is and quicker it is instead of having to reinvent everything and line it all back up again. So it's a great tool to utilize, and you can even do more than just one item at a time. I could theoretically highlight all of these items, group them all together with all of the separate items in it as well, and copy it, put it up above it, and then do it that way. And in all honesty, full disclosure, while I was doing this, I was relearning the whole grouping item as well, and I didn't even think about it until I had already gotten 2 or 3 of these in. So we'll see that process here. Okay, with building this last one out of the way, I'll show you here. I highlighted everything, hit the grouping function, made it all one unit. Go up here to the top left of the screen and duplicate it, and then pull the item off of itself. From this point on, it's pretty straightforward. All I have to do is go up to that item, ungroup it, and then make the changes like we initially did whenever we created it, and just rinse and repeat. So we'll let that one play out. Okay, with all of the editing done, the only thing left to do here is to export this into file type that the Cura cutter will understand. So we'll go up here to the top right and go to export, and then we'll pick it in a STL file, and then I'll just open STL up with the Cura cutter. And so you can see here's the finished product in Cura and how it would print out on the Ender 3D or Ender 3. So then I'll go over here to slice. It says it'll take about 4 hours and 58 minutes. And that would all depend on like all your sizes. So usually I do a 25% infill, but these only being a 1/4 inch thick, I actually go ahead and adjust everything down a little bit to a little bit thinner of a profile, so it would print a little bit faster and I can get my sizes down.
Alright, we're over here at the Ender 3. I've upgraded it to Pro status with just the glass print bed, and then obviously I've printed out stuff to make it a little bit better. I haven't used this in, I'd say, 2 months. There is dust and maybe some fingerprints on the print bed from the last print. So I'm just going to take some isopropyl alcohol, microfiber, give the entire print bed a nice wipe down. And because this print is small, it shouldn't be too big of a deal if it doesn't adhere at first. Usually the isopropyl wipe down lets the prints adhere a little bit better that I found. I also mess with the print bed temperature about 65 degrees, and I slow the print down to, I think it's about 70%, and then after the first layer gets down, I up it from there. So let's adjust the camera and then we'll start printing. So one thing I forgot to mention is I have very little problems with the print bed not being leveled. I usually level it once, and then if I notice something wrong, then I mess with it, but I don't go through the whole leveling process every single time. So I'm going to come over here, and bear with me because it's been a month or so since I've operated this. Print from SD. There's our circle stencil. It's going to start going through its process. While it's doing that, I'm going to go to control, undo temperatures. So nozzle, I found with multiple filament types, this is 3D fuel. I find that 220 works about right, at least for my machine. And then the print bed, they say I take it up to 75. And then, yeah, it goes from there. Now, what I end up doing is I don't trust the software in here, so I always double check it. The feed rate, I will take it down on the first layer to 75%. Once it's started, I can tune the flow to about 110, and that's just to get enough squeeze out for adhesion. So let's let this do its thing and warm up, and then we'll mess with it a little bit further. Okay, now that it's going, I'm going to crank the feed rate down. Make sure about 65%. Go to tune. Go my flow. Crank it up to 110. So we always give 110%. So that'll give me a good squeeze out. Now that's one issue, and you have to do your measurements, is if you adjust the squeeze out on the baseline, it will make that diameter of that hole smaller. So we'll let this go. We'll monitor it, make sure we clip off anything that pops up that might be messing with our print, and then yeah, it should do its thing.
Okay guys, here's the finished product right off the printer. I tried filling this one in with a little panel liner. It kind of bled everywhere, but I think you guys can see those just fine. I have to look and see. I think this one here is 50 or 0.50, and then they range up 0.45 here all the way up to 0.50 is what I'm guessing. I've taken a little piece of sandpaper here and just rolled it into a cylinder. Simply taking it in the center here, and then without like forcing it to any size, just kind of unrolling it and then just lightly sanding each one like this, no more than that, and just to take any burrs off. So let's see what we came in at according to our super budget calipers here. We'll zero them out and let's get a reading. So this is the 0.45 and it's coming in at 0.430 all the way around. That could be because of our squish. One thing to note is that my printer is, the bed's probably just needs a little bit more prints on it to get it to really adhere, or these are kind of thin and the bed was a little bit too hot, so it rolled up. But they came out pretty good. Let's size it up. There's 0.45. Just barely 0.6. There's a little bit of a hitch in that one, 0.7. There's 0.7 again on this one on 0.49. And then there's 0.48 right there on the, this says 0.45, but I think this was the 5. So they're all coming in about 2 under what we sized it. And like I said, that could be because of the flow rate that I put my printer at, or just my printer in general. But we can take this large one and kind of line it up there. And yeah, we'll have to go one more size up maybe. So we'll just do the same thing we did and then resize it. The measurements that I'll put on Thingiverse, that's what they're set to in Tinkercad. And then, yeah, I'll probably put a note in there. But yeah, this is a real simple way to make stencils for anything that you're doing, whether it be something that you're going to paint, like this wheel, or going to be something more intricate, like a stencil for drawing or something like that. So hope this helps you guys out. That's what I make the videos for. So thanks for watching.